No medicine could save him until a cleaning lady unlocked the impossible truth at midnight. In the dimly lit hospital room, the air was thick with despair. The sound of beeping machines filled the silence, drowning out any glimmer of hope. There, in the corner, lay a man teetering between life and death. His body was frail, skin pale like a ghost. Medical charts hung on the wall, page after page filled with baffling notes that meant nothing to the average person. But to Dr. Miller, they were words that sealed his patient's fate. "We've tried everything," he sighed, his voice heavy. "There's nothing we can do." As if on cue, a shadow shifted in the doorway. It was Marie, the cleaning lady. She'd seen the grimness on the doctors' faces as they passed her. But what did she know? Her job was simple: mop floors, empty trash. Yet, she had an uncanny knack for finding things that others overlooked. That night felt different, charged with an unexplainable energy. She pushed her cart down the hall, her heart racing. Something was off. She could feel it deep in her bones. She paused, catching a glimpse of the flickering overhead lights. "What the?" she whispered, gripping her cart's handle tightly. Shadows danced along the walls, creating strange shapes that seemed to beckon her closer. Suddenly, a noise echoed from behind the door of the patient's room, a faint mumble. Was it the man? Or was her mind playing tricks on her? She crept forward, barely breathing. What if she was about to uncover something that could change everything? Her gloved hand hovered over the doorknob, hesitating for a split second. Then she thrust it open. Inside, the room felt colder. The man stirred, his eyes flickering open, locked on Marie. He looked right through her, as if he could see into her soul. "Help me," he rasped, voice like gravel. "They they can't know." Before she could respond, the lights above blinked wildly, plunging the room into near darkness. It was as if the world outside had vanished, leaving only this moment of unspeakable urgency. Marie's heart pounded like a drum. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." Marie felt a chill run down her spine. What had he just said? What can't they know? She whispered, courage swelling within her. The man's eyes widened, desperation pouring from him. The truth about the medicines. They're hiding something. Her pulse raced. This wasn't just another late-night shift. This was a chance to uncover something bigger than both of them. The man winced, as if his confession was tearing at him inside. "You need to find the files, the truth is there." The lights flickered again, plunging them into shadow. Would she find those files? Was the fate of this man really in her hands? Marie surged forward. She had to know what was happening before it was too late. Marie's breath hitched, her thoughts racing. The files? What files? Where were they? She looked at the man, his pale face glistening with sweat, and his labored breaths echoed in the hushed room. What files? But the man only shook his head, as if the effort to speak drained him further. Panic clawed at Marie's throat. She needed clarity. "Tell me more." Before he could answer, there was a sharp knock on the door, jarring them. "Dr. Miller." The voice on the other side was urgent, firm. Marie glanced at the man. "I have to go. Please, don't say anything." She stepped away from his bed, her heart racing, and edged towards the door. "Don't trust them," he croaked, his voice cracking. "They will do anything to keep you from the truth." With a final look back at him, she opened the door, stepping into the buzz of fluorescent lights that made her squint. Dr. Miller stood there, his brow furrowed with concern. "Marie, what are you doing here so late?" "I, just came to clean," she stammered, her palms sweating. The room looked messy. Dr. Miller studied her, searching her face. "I didn't realize it was here you're assigned. We could use your help with some charts." "Charts?" she repeated, her heart pounding. "Yes, there are discrepancies we need to go over," he said, beckoning her to follow him down the hallway. As they walked, Marie's mind raced back to the patient in room 306. She needed to find those files, but how? Her stomach twisted with nerves, but she felt a strange sense of purpose. What if this was more than just her late shift? What if it was her chance to change the man's fate? When they reached the nurse's station, she leaned against the counter while Dr. Miller searched through some stacked papers. She listened to him mumble to himself, but her mind was elsewhere, fixated on the man's eyes and his urgent plea. "How much do you know about new medicines?" Dr. Miller suddenly asked, breaking her focus. Marie blinked, hesitating. "Not much, really. Just the basics." He studied her intently. "Sometimes, the simplest understanding can yield the most profound insights." "Right," she replied, confused. Dr. Miller turned abruptly, collecting some blueprints from a drawer. "We suspect some side effects in patients have been covered up. It's frustrating, and the bureaucracy is suffocating." Marie's heart sank. Could this be what the man meant? Were they hiding something from the world? She had to see the files, whatever they held, it could save him. But what if they're harmful? She blurted out, surprising herself. Dr. Miller turned back to her, his expression unreadable. "Sometimes to save lives, sacrifices must be made." Marie's blood ran cold. She shook her head, feeling trapped. Time was slipping away, and she needed to act. "I should get back to cleaning," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. As she edged away, a flicker of movement caught her eye through the glass door of room 306, she saw the man blinking desperately, eyes wide, frantically gesturing to her. Just then, the lights flickered again, and a shiver coursed down her spine. "Marie!" Dr. Miller called out, but the sound faded into the background. She was already sprinting back, ignoring the pounding of her heart. The man needed her. But what awaited her behind that door could change everything forever. What secrets lay hidden in those files? Marie was about to find out if only she could make it in time. The door stood ajar, a thin sliver of darkness beckoning Marie as she approached. The faint sound of labored breathing grew louder, echoing in the small, sterile room. Heart racing, she pushed the door wide and stepped inside, her pulse quickening at the sight of the man. His expression had shifted, panic now flashed in his eyes, desperation like a drowning man flailing for air. "Marie," he rasped, urgency coloring his tone, "you need to hurry. They'll be coming for me." She scanned the room, hyper-aware of every tick of the clock on the wall. "Who?" she gasped, her voice trembling. "Who's coming?" The people you don't trust." He choked out, his hand trembling as he gestured toward the thick file resting on the bedside table beside him. "You have to get it before they do." Marie's breath caught. The file. It must contain everything he had warned her about. But how could she grab it without drawing attention? The walls seemed to close in on her, the tension palpable. "Marie!" Dr. Miller's voice shattered her thoughts like glass. He stood in the doorway, eyes dark and urgent. "We need you at the station." "No." The word escaped her lips, filled with defiance. "I can't leave him." "He's just a patient," Dr. Miller asserted, taking a step toward her. "You have a job to do." "Not like this," Marie spat back. She shot a glance over her shoulder at the dying man. He leaned forward, visibly struggling, and their eyes connected. A silent understanding passed between them. She couldn't abandon him. Marie, step away from the patient. Right now. His tone brooked no argument. Stay away from him. She snapped. Fighting against the urge to bolt towards the file, she could feel the tension fraying around her. What are you hiding? What's really going on here? Before Dr. Miller could respond, the lights flickered off entirely, plunging the room into darkness. An icy dread settled over Marie, the stillness thrumming like a taut wire ready to snap. She could feel Dr. Miller's presence growing tenser, almost predatory. Marie, he called, the sound echoing through the void. Get back here. The sudden click of metal against metal sent a jolt of fear coursing through her. She turned back toward the bed. Urgency surged inside her veins. I want to let you take him. With trembling hands, she snatched the file from the bedside. Its weight felt monumental, as if it held the fate of every patient subjected to the darkness that loomed beyond this room. Dr. Miller charged forward, but Marie dodged past him, her instinct screaming at her to run. Marie, stop! He yelled, his voice rising in pitch, echoing with alarm. Adrenaline surged as she dashed through the hall, the file clutched tightly against her chest. She could feel her heart pounding against the paper, matching its beat. As she turned the corner, she could hear footsteps behind her. The urgency in Dr. Miller's calls transformed into something darker, more sinister. You want to be able to get away from the truth. Marie skidded to a halt, her breath hitching as she pressed her back against the wall, heart racing with a cocktail of fear and determination. The file, what had she just unleashed? She had to know, and deep down, something told her the clue lay hidden within its pages. With quick but careful movements, she glanced around, searching for a safe place to hide. She couldn't let them find her. She couldn't let the truth die. As she opened the file slightly, the words blurred together before her eyes. But before she could focus, a shadow loomed overhead. Marie's heart stopped. Gotcha, a voice whispered from the darkness, slicing through the air as cold as ice. What was waiting for her there, in those crucial moments? Would she uncover the revelation that could turn everything upside down? Marie flinched at the whisper, a chill sweeping down her spine. She whipped around, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The dim light illuminated a man tall, with sharp features that seemed to slice through the shadows. He wore a uniform that blurred the lines between hospital staff and something more sinister. What do you want? She stammered, clutching the file tighter. Just the file, sweetheart. Hand it over, and maybe we won't have a problem. His eyes glinted like a predator's, calculating and cold. No. The word burst from her lips before she could think. A mist of panic surged as she looked for an exit. Shadows danced in the corner of her vision, taunting her with every inch she stood still. The file felt like a bomb ready to explode in her hands. Marie, this is stupid. He snapped, stepping closer, his tone impatient. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Hand it over, and I'll let you walk out of here. No. Her heart pounded, drowning out everything else. Hassle or not, the only answer left was escape. With a surge of courage, she shoved past him and bolted down the corridor, the rhythmic pounding of her heart echoed in her ears. The air felt thick with dread as she navigated through the labyrinth of sterile hallways, lit only by flickering emergency lights. The footsteps behind her were relentless. You can't run forever, Marie. The man's voice boomed, the tone almost mocking. She could hear his pursuit gaining speed, every stride louder than the last. Marie's legs burned, but she pressed on, determination flooding her. She had to reach the exit, to expose whatever horror dwelled in that file. But even as she ran, doubt wormed its way in. What if she was too late? Suddenly, the laughter of a crowd rang out, jarring her from her focus. She skidded to a stop just before the double doors of the waiting area. A flicker of hope warmed her chest. If she could get into the crowd, maybe she could lose him in the chaos. She pushed the doors open wide and stumbled into the illuminated space filled with people. The scene was bizarre, a mix of anxious patients and worried families mixing with hospital staff on edge. They were laughing, talking, utterly unaware of the danger creeping just outside their bubble. Marie's heart raced as she glanced back into the hallway, hoping that the man would hesitate at the sight of witnesses, but then she remembered the file. It could change everything, the reasons behind the patient's fears, the sinister connections that bound Dr. Miller to the calamity she questioned. What if she was holding on to the key to unlock the truth completely? In the midst of the chaos, Marie ducked behind a nearby reception desk, furiously flipping through the file, reviewing every word, every name, every shocking detail that emerged. Her fingers trembled as they brushed the pages, searching for the connection that would light the match to this darkened mystery, and there it was, a name she recognized, intertwined with reports of abuse and negligence. A name she'd read in whispers of hospital rumors. The connection was real, but before she could react, a hand clamped down on her shoulder. "Gotcha," the same cold voice from the shadows snarled, pulling her from behind the desk. Her body reacted without thought. She twisted, any instinct for self-preservation kicking in, her knee driving up. She felt impact. He staggered back but quickly regained his composure, eyes burning with rage. "What do you think you're doing? You have no idea what you're after," he shouted, reaching for her again. Marie's vision scanned the waiting room, now fuzzy but filled with people oblivious to the violence creeping into their sanctuary. "Help! Someone help me!" she screamed, her voice breaking as she dodged his grasp. The chase was not finished, it was just getting started. But as she made her frantic escape, she understood one thing. She had to not only survive but also expose the truth lurking beneath the surface of the hospital, nestled within the pages of the file. And deep down, she felt that someone or something was looming, ready to strike when she least expected it. As she slipped into the throng of patients and family members, the urgency heightened. Secrets awaited, and so did danger. Would this be the end of her fight or just the beginning? What more lay hidden within those pages? The answers felt tantalizing, just beyond her reach, dark little devils waiting to be unleashed. Marie sprinted into the crowd, her breath hitching as she darted between families and anxious patients. The chaos wrapped around her like a dull blanket, muffling her frantic heartbeat. "Get away from me," she yelled, desperate but hoping the mass of people would shield her. The room pulsed with life, people laughing, crying, unaware of the storm hidden among them. But she could feel him closing in, the weight of his anger palpable in the air. Each second felt like an eternity, and she dared not look back. Instead, she focused on the file still clutched in her trembling hands. Hidden truths, buried secrets, escape or no escape, she needed to uncover its contents. Suddenly, her eyes locked onto a figure, a woman in a janitor's uniform, pushing a cart filled with cleaning supplies. The woman's movements were swift and deliberate, a stark contrast to the chaos of the waiting area. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and Marie got an idea. "Please, help me," she called, racing up to the woman. "You have to hide me." The janitor paused, her expression flickering between confusion and concern. "What is going on, honey? Just trust me," Marie gasped, glancing over her shoulder. The man in the shadows was nowhere in sight, but she could feel the tension crackling. With a nod, the janitor gestured toward a small door leading to a supply room at the back. Marie ducked inside just as the man's furious voice cut through the waiting area. She went this way. The door slammed shut, darkness swallowing Marie whole. She leaned against the wall, chest heaving, the file digging into her side. "Who was that guy?" the janitor whispered, leaning close as the door remained ajar. "You're scaring me. I don't know, but he wants this file. It has information that could expose something huge at this hospital, something dangerous." The woman's eyes widened, glancing toward the door. "You're not safe out there. Trust me, I see things they don't want anyone to know." Marie narrowed her eyes, desperate for any hope. What do you mean? The janitor bit her lip, the shadows deepening around them. I overheard doctors talking about patients they were experimenting on. Things worth covering up. A cold sweat broke over Marie. And you think this violet ties into that? Could be. But we need to get out of here. This place isn't safe, the janitor urged, her voice a whisper loaded with urgency. Just then, the door rattled as a heavy fist pounded against it. Marie! I know you're in there. The man's voice boomed, unnerving in its calmness. The janitor instinctively backed away, fear tightening her features. Marie shot a look filled with dread toward the door. We can't stay. We have to move. The janitor grabbed a broom from the corner, her face fiercely determined. Then let us go. We can't let him take you. Before they could decide, the door burst open, and the man stood there, face twisted in rage, eyes wild and searching. Marie's gut dropped. She didn't have time. Without thinking, Marie bolted past him, feeling the rush of air as she shot into the hallway, fear propelling her forward. This way! She shouted to the janitor, who quickly followed. They dashed through the maze of corridors, the fluorescent lights buzzing above them. Marie's mind raced, pieces of the puzzle falling into place, but still no clear picture. What kind of experiments? What had she stumbled into? Suddenly, she spotted the elevator at the end of the hall. There. She pushed the button, praying for it to arrive fast, skin crawling under the weight of the man's hunt. Come on, she whispered, tapping her foot anxiously. The doors slid open, and they both rushed inside. Marie jabbed the button for the lobby. The elevator started to descend, but then the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness as the elevator jolted, grinding to a halt. Now what? The janitor asked, her voice trembling. Fear consumed Marie, but inside, determination ignited. We have to find a way out of this nightmare for good, but first, we need to figure out the truth. And just then, they heard it, the low hum of machinery. Whirring beneath them, a sound so ominous it sent tremors through their cores. What's down there? Marie whispered, pointing toward the crack beneath the elevator door, a flicker of muted light spilling through. Something deep within her roared, begging for answers. What other horrors awaited them in the hospital's underbelly? Before she could answer her own question, the doors started to slide open, revealing a narrow, dimly lit stairwell. Ready? Marie asked, fear laced with a fierce thrill. Let us go, the janitor replied, her voice steadier now. The chase was on again, but this time, more than just survival was at stake. What awaited them below could change everything or seal their fates forever. Marie stepped into the stairwell, her heart pounding in a rhythm that matched the low thrum of machinery beneath them. The walls felt close, oppressive, like the hospital was wrapping its fingers around her throat. Panic gripped her mind, but there was no turning back. Stay close, she whispered to the janitor, who flinched at the sound of their own voices echoing in the confined space. The dim light flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls as they carefully descended the stair. Do you think he saw us? The janitor asked, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know, Marie admitted, her own fear threatening to bubble to the surface. But I can't take that risk. We have to get to the bottom of this, find out what's happening. If this file means what I think it does. Suddenly, the humming intensified, vibrating in the air like a warning bell. Marie glanced back at the janitor, who paled under the feeble light. The weight of the moment crashed down around them, fraying Marie's nerves. They reached the bottom, and the door to the basement hallway loomed ahead. It was slightly ajar, just a sliver of darkness inviting them in. With a deep breath, she pushed it open, the sound of hinges creaking as if the hospital itself were groaning in dismay. The hallway stretched out before them, long and narrow, the air thick with a metallic scent that made Marie's stomach churn. Rows of locked doors lined the corridor, some marked with faded numbers, others entirely bare. What is this place? The janitor whispered, her voice barely a breath. I think this is where they keep the patients." Marie stepped forward, her heart racing at the thought of the secrets buried behind those walls. The ones they don't want anyone to see. Determination surged within her, overriding the frozen dread. She moved toward the nearest door, hand reaching for the handle. Before she could turn it, the humming escalated, and an automated voice broke the silence. "Unauthorized access. Please return to main floor." The warning set her nerves alight. Marie's heart leapt into her throat. "We're being watched. What do we do?" The janitor squeaked, fear spilling from her eyes. "Stay quiet just for a moment." Marie's skin prickled as she strained to hear any sign of their pursuer. But instead, she heard other sounds, faint whispers and muffled cries echoing beyond the doors. Her resolve hardened. They had to keep going. "Let us check one of these doors. We might find something or someone." They approached a door marked Patient Observation, and its rusty handle felt cold under Marie's trembling fingers. With a deep breath, she pulled it open. Inside, the room was dimly lit. Rows of narrow beds lined the walls, each occupied by a figure covered in white sheets, a stark contrast against the faded blue walls. Her breath hitched as she took a step in. "Marie!" The janitor gasped, fingers tightening around the broom like a shield. "What is going on?" Not them. Marie's eyes widened as she took in the sight of the lifeless forms. What horrors had been committed here? Their faces were pale, weak. Were these the patients the janitor had mentioned? Amid the sheets, one patient stirred, their eyelids fluttering open as weak, desperate eyes found Marie's help. A cracked voice escaped their lips, sending chills down her spine. "Who did this to you?" She breathed, stepping closer, each breath heavier than the last. "Don't trust them," he gasped, fading in and out of consciousness. They're experimenting." Before she could respond, another voice, distorted and metallic, crackled through the intercom. "Return to the main floor immediately or face consequences." The urgency sent a shockwave through Marie. They needed to move, but the revelation held her still, anchoring her in horror. Had she opened Pandora's box, the janitor grabbed Marie's arm, tugging her back. "We can't stay here. It's too dangerous." That was all Marie needed to hear. With one last look at the pleading eyes of the patient, she bolted from the room, the janitor at her heels. As they sprinted back toward the stairwell, the hum grew louder, ominous, alive. She could feel it vibrating through her bones, pushing them onward. When they reached the stairwell door, they gasped for breath. They had to find a way out, to expose whatever nightmare lurked beneath the surface of this hospital. Failure wasn't an option, but just as they turned to ascend, a figure stepped into the dim light, a silhouette against the flickering bulbs. Marie froze, her heart pounding in fear as recognition slammed into her like a freight train. It was him. "Thought you could run, did you?" He purred, voice smooth as ice. "Run!" Marie shouted, and they bolted back into the darkness, but it was already too late. What would happen next? Could they escape him again, or had the shadows finally claimed them? Marie's heart raced as she and the janitor sprinted away from the figure that haunted her nightmares. Behind them, the hum of the machinery blended with the echo of footsteps, heavy and relentless. "This way!" she yelled, yanking the janitor toward a side path that veered off the hallway, away from the oppressive glare of the flickering lights ahead. The corridor narrowed and twisted like a maze, each turn cloaked in shadows that seemed to reach out and claw at their heels. Marie could hear the janitor panting behind her. "Where are we going?" she gasped, voice trembling with fear. "Anywhere but here." Marie shouted back, urgency lacing her words. Her mind raced through every exit, every possible escape route, praying for a glimpse of hope. As they turned another corner, she caught sight of a door at the end of the hall, less ominous than the others, worn but not locked. "Let us try that one," she urged, nearly dragging the janitor behind her. With trembling fingers, she slammed against the handle, bracing for whatever lay behind closed doors. To her surprise, it swung open, revealing a dimly lit storage room cluttered with long-forgotten medical supplies and equipment. She shoved the janitor inside, closing the door behind them just as a shadow passed the window. They stood in frozen silence, listening to the heavy footsteps echoing in the corridor. Each beat drummed a reminder of the danger they faced. "What do we do now?" the janitor whispered, voice barely above a whisper. "Hide," Marie replied, scanning the room. She found a pile of worn, dusty tarps in the corner. "Under here." They quickly huddled beneath the fabric, hearts racing. The world outside faded, leaving only the sound of their shallow breaths and the clatter of something large, metal, and ominous. Minutes passed like hours, the darkness thickening around them. Just when Marie thought they might have escaped, the door creaked open, spilling a shaft of light into the cramped space. A silhouette framed the doorway, looming and unreadable, casting a long shadow toward them. "I know you're in here," he said, voice dripping with a mocking lilt. "You can't hide forever." Marie's stomach knotted. Panic surged through her veins. In silence, she reached for the janitor's hand, squeezing it tightly. They waited, breath held, praying he would move on. Instead, the figure took a step inside. His eyes were cold and calculating, scanning the cluttered room. Marie's mind raced. They had to think fast. As he stepped deeper into the room, Marie noticed a sharp object peeking out from behind a shelf, a surgical scalpel. "Now," she whispered, heart hammering against her ribs. She glanced at the janitor, who nodded, her eyes wide with fear but resolute. They burst from their hiding spot, catching him off guard. The janitor grabbed the scalpel, lunging forward, but he was quicker. He dodged, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "Is that all you have?" Bile rose in Marie's throat as she saw the janitor stumble, fear taking over. Marie dove forward, tackling him, adrenaline propelling her forward. They crashed into a stack of boxes, the sound shattering the tense silence. In that moment of chaos, the janitor scrambled to her feet, wielding the scalpel as if it were an extension of her will. "Get away from her!" she screamed, steadying her trembling hands. Marie took a deep breath, her fight-or-flight instincts kicking in. "We need to find a way out. He can't know where we are." Then, crushing silence fell, broken only by the distant hum of machines, but they knew he would be back. The danger wasn't over. "Marie, look!" The janitor pointed to the far corner of the room. A small, barred window overlooked the glimmering moonlight, their one chance at escape. The janitor edged closer, pain etched across her face as she clutched the weapon. "If we can get that open." The figure re-entered the room. They froze, heartbeats resonating in their ears like thunder. "Too late," he called, voice dripping with cruel delight. Marie's mind raced. Was it really too late? The window glimmered with promise, a beacon of freedom. But would they risk it? "This is it," she whispered fiercely. "On 3, we move." "Okay," the janitor nodded, determination hardening her features. 1, 2. Before she reached 3, the figure lunged forward, a predator closing in on his prey. Marie knew their lives depended on her next move. What would she do? Would she fight, or would she push her friend out first? The breath between them felt heavy, the stakes were life and death, and time was slipping away. But they would have to make that choice fast, or they would lose everything. Adrenaline surged through Marie as the looming figure advanced, each calculated step sending shards of terror through her body. She had to act, and fast. The janitor's eyes reflected both fear and fierce resolve, creating an unexpected bond of bravery between them. "Now!" Marie shouted, recalling the glimmering hope of that barred window. Without a second thought, she lunged forward, shoving the janitor toward it. "Go! Get through!" The janitor hesitated, glancing back at the advancing figure. Fear twisted Marie's insides. "Please! You have to trust me." There was no time to waste. In one swift motion, the janitor turned and frantically pulled at the window's rusted bars, their grip still stubborn. Fumbling with the scalpel, she tried to pry them open. It stuck. Panic seeped into her voice. "Don't look back!" Marie yelled, her own heart pounding like a war drum. She positioned herself between the figure and the janitor, a desperate shield. The figure smirked, the cruel amusement almost palpable. "You really think you can escape?" He lunged, and instincts kicked in. Marie sidestepped, crash-landing against the wall as she felt the wind from his movement singe her skin. She pushed herself up, adrenaline propelling her into a frantic dance of survival. "Keep trying." Her focus remained split, keeping watch on the figure and encouraging her friend, each glance back igniting a fire of desperation in her gut. The janitor was still wrestling with the window, her fingers shaking, pushing against rusted metal that seemed adamant to keep them trapped. The figure regained his balance, pupils narrowing with intent, eyes fixated on Marie. "Your little game ends here," he hissed, advancing once more. "Almost, there." The janitor cried, voice strained as she dug deeper, the scalpel glinting as it hovered over the stubborn bars. With every second that passed, Marie felt the weight of the darkness pressing in. She had to buy them time. "Who are you?" she screamed, voice echoing. "What do you want?" His laughter echoed through the room as he adjusted his stance. "I want what you took from me. What you all took from me." The sinister undertone sent chills down her spine. Marie's mind raced. What had she taken? Why was he after them? "Just help me open this." The janitor screamed, a hint of desperation threading her voice. "Focus." Marie barked, defending against the growing threat. The figure lunged again, but Marie shifted at the last moment, her reflexes taking over. She kicked back, her foot catching him in the hip. He stumbled but quickly regained his footing, eyes filled with rage. "You think that will save you?" As the janitor finally pried open one of the bars, a loud crunch echoed through the room. Moonlight streamed in, illuminating her terrified face. "I got it. I got it. Let us go." Marie shouted, feeling time slip away like sand. But the figure surged forward again, fast and relentless. He swiped at Marie, knocking her against the floor. Pain exploded in her shoulder, but she didn't care. She rolled, scrabbling to the janitor, who was now half through the window, her body caught. "Come on, push," Marie urged, panic spilling over. With a final desperate shove, the janitor squeezed the rest of the way through the window, calling back to Marie. "I'll pull you. Just jump." The figure was right beside her now, fingers brushing the hem of her shirt. One last chance. Marie almost leaped for it, heart fluttering with the uncertainty of impending doom. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the room as a nearby shelf toppled over, creating a wall of debris between them and the figure. "Go now!" the janitor yelled, strength surging in her voice. Marie bolted for the window, adrenaline fueling her movements. She leaped, grasping at the edge, the janitor pulling her with an intensity that burned in her chest. They tumbled together onto the cold ground outside, gasping for air as the moon bathed them in its eerie light. But behind them, the figure loomed, an imposing shadow against the darkness, heartening their resolve faltering. "You cannot escape," his voice taunted. They scrambled to their feet, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they locked eyes. But where to run? Marie's mind whirled. Back to the entrance. "We can make it." The janitor nodded, fear and determination warring across her face. They moved, but the echo of his ominous laughter followed them, chilling their bones. They dashed away from the building, the darkness creeping up behind them, and then, Marie heard a whisper beside the wind, a truth she had yet to understand, something about to unfold that would shatter everything. "What did you take from him?" The janitor's voice pierced through the anxiety. "I don't know." Marie shot back, heart in her throat. And that truth was more terrifying than the darkness chasing them. As they sprinted toward the distant light, uncertainty loomed large ahead. Would they truly find safety? Or was the shadow of destiny already closing in? Their feet pounded against the cracked pavement, each hurried step a frantic attempt to bridge the distance between them and the nightmare that lurked just behind. The cold air felt thick in Marie's lungs, a reminder that despite the freedom outside, they were still trapped in a game of pursuit where the stakes were horrifyingly high. Faster! Marie gasped, her eyes darting to the shadows threatening to swallow them whole. The faint glow from a distant streetlight was their only beacon. "Do you think he'll follow?" The janitor breathed, her voice laced with fear. Marie shook her head, hair whipping against her cheeks. "He's toying with us. I don't want to find out." But deep down, uncertainty gnawed at her, a biting reminder that they were not safe yet. They reached the streetlight, breathing heavily, hearts still racing like clockwork. The soft hum of the city buzzed faintly in the background, unaware of the horror that had unfolded just moments before. "What did you mean by what you took?" the janitor asked, panic rising again like bile. Marie swallowed hard. "I don't know. Think. Someone must know something," she pressed, glancing around as if answers might hide amongst the shadows. The weight of the question pressed down on Marie. Memories flooded in, there had been whispers, secrets about that place. But connecting them to this monstrous figure was like trying to tie sand together. Suddenly, a piercing scream sliced through the air, snapping both women to attention. They froze, instinctively looking toward the sound. "Over there!" Marie hissed, pointing down a dimly lit alley. Gloom swallowed the narrow passage, but the echo of voices drew them in, curiosity outweighing their fear. "Should we?" The janitor hesitated, uncertainty dancing in her brown eyes. "We don't have a choice." Marie clutched her arm, the pulse of danger still humming between them. As they approached the mouth of the alley, shadows shifted like living creatures. The raw energy of the city felt distant, replaced instead by an eerie stillness that draped itself around them like a shroud. The voices grew louder, one a raspy whisper, while the other had a sharper edge that made Marie's stomach churn. "If they discover what we've done, we're all done for sure. You want to attract attention?" Marie caught pieces of their conversation, words like experiment and failure slicing through the air. Her heart quickened. "Do you hear that?" she murmured to the janitor. "Yes." The janitor's eyes widened, tracing the shadows as they pushed further into the alley. With each cautious step, they neared a flickering light, a small door that looked battered and worn, barely hanging on its hinges. Before they could exchange glances, the door creaked open, revealing a gaunt figure cloaked in darkness. "I know why you're here," he rasped, his eyes glinting with an eerie light. "What?" Marie's voice trembled. He leaned against the doorframe, a crooked smile breaking across his face. "You're looking for answers. But know this, there's a price." "What kind of price?" The janitor stepped forward, defiance in her voice, though her hands trembled. "All secrets come with repercussions," he said cryptically. "You knock on the door of truth, be prepared to face the consequences." As suddenly as he appeared, he turned away, retreating into the shadows of the room behind him. Marie and the janitor exchanged shell-shocked glances. The weight of their mission crashed around them like a wave. "What now?" the janitor whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of their hearts. "We have to go after him," Marie said, pulse racing, driven by a mix of terror and determination. "If we don't, we'll never know what he knows." But just as they stepped forward, the figure began to turn, revealing a flicker of recognition that sent chills through Marie. It was like staring into the face of fate. "What if he knows something about you?" the janitor whispered. The truth loomed ahead, dark and foreboding. What lay behind that door could unravel everything, and just what kind of power it held was as terrifying as the figure. Pursuing them. Are you ready to confront whatever that is? Marie asked, her breathing heavy. In that moment, a final sinister echo seemingly came from the shadows behind them, reminding them that escape was never guaranteed. As dread pooled in their bellies, Marie took a deep breath. We have to. With resolve stiffening her spine, she pushed the door wide open. Would the answer bring them salvation, or would it seal their fate forever? The door swung wide, creaking ominously as shadows poured into the dim room, revealing a scene that made Marie's chest tighten. The figure stood at the back, illuminated by flickering fluorescent bulbs. Medical charts cluttered a wooden table, draped with papers covered in scrawled handwriting. Most alarmingly, a large corkboard displayed a collage of photographs, names, and dates, each link red and fraying, leading to a central point marked experiments. What is this? The janitor whispered, taking a hesitant step forward. An archive of chaos, Marie breathed, horror gripping her heart as she recognized the names patients she had seen, lines drawn to their unsettling fates. They've been tracking the victims. The figure leaned forward, a smile creeping over his lips, almost as if he appreciated their horror. You see, you weren't meant to find this. But now that you have, Marie's mind raced. The file in her possession wasn't just paper, it held lives intertwined with lies, buried truths that could destroy the hospital's facade. She knew they had to confront this demon. What were you experimenting on? Marie's voice cracked, but she pressed forward. What have you done? They didn't tell you? The figure chuckled darkly, eyes gleaming in the dismal light. We could cure illness, alleviate suffering, but sometimes the human mind isn't ready for the truth, the price of progress. What price? Marie pressed, feeling fire ignite within her chest. Every second spent here brought the shadows closer, every word a thread tightening around their necks. The figure's expression shifted from amusement to something darker. The price is silence, collateral damage. Some lives are worth more than others. Not at this cost. The janitor's voice rang out, filled with conviction. You can't just play God. No, but I can decide who lives and dies for the greater good. His voice rose, the shadows quaking in response as if alive, ready to lunge forward. You're too late, the machine is already in operation. A non-living hum reverberated through the walls, throbbing with urgency. Marie felt the trembling beneath her feet, the frantic sound of alarms rang out, creating a sense of dread. They had to get out. Marie! The file! The janitor shouted, her eyes frantically darting to the papers spread across the table. It's our only chance. Right. Marie lunged for it, fingers brushing across the chilling evidence as the figure lunged towards them, trying to intercept her. With a surge of desperation, she gathered the files into her arms, the weight both liberating and burdensome. But just as hope flickered, the silver blade of danger gleamed, launched ferociously toward her. The janitor screamed as she shoved Marie aside, the blade sank deeply into her shoulder. The world slowed as the janitor fell to the floor, clutching her wound, pain etched across her features. No! Marie wailed, the chilling scream shattering the air as time resumed its frantic pace. Don't you get it? The figure taunted, closing in. You're nothing. Marie's resolve hardened. She couldn't let him win. With trembling hands, she grabbed the janitor's scalpel from the floor, stepped forward, and launched it, aimed directly at the corkboard. Marie, what? But she watched as the blade struck true, papers erupted in a flurry as fire ignited behind the board, flames licking upward, consuming the evidence of years of horrific transgressions. What? No! The figure screamed, eyes wild with rage. And in that instant, the fire revealed something more, an escape route through the back of the room. Come on. We need to get out. Marie cried, diving toward the ajar door behind the chaos. No. The figure's desperate yell was swallowed by the crackle of flames. You can't escape the truth. But they did escape. As they barreled through the exit and into the cold night air, the intense heat and suffocating smoke lingered behind them, yet they emerged free. The distant sound of sirens wailed through the darkened streets, a harbinger of looming repercussions. "Marie!" The janitor's voice trembled, collapsing onto the ground. Her hand pressed against her wound. "Help me hold on." Marie knelt, finding her phone in her pocket, shaking from adrenaline. "We need a hospital and ambulance." The echo of sirens grew stronger, illuminating the shadows that had chased them, but in their hearts, the flicker of hope ignited. As they awaited salvation, Marie knew this was not just an end but the beginning of unveiling the truth, bringing light to the darkness that had claimed countless lives, ensuring that horrors like these could never fester in silence again. "We're going to blow the lid off this place," she whispered, determination growing. "And we will be heard." A sense of peace washed over her even as sirens inched closer, reinforcing the bond formed in fire and pain. For in their pursuit of truth, they had found a destiny entwined far deeper than survival. They had become the light in the shadows. And outside, under the vast and endless sky, hope glimmered between them, breathing life into the chaos of their night. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and unlock even more incredible stories. Don't just stand by, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling conclusion. Your support is everything.